1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the
We're not
minute.
getting more people.
Are you kidding? For what you... Somebody's meeting. It's like
Rerun some of those tapes.
self-flagellation. It's like...
All right, time is 6:30, and I'll bring the meeting to order. Roll call of members: Mike Ahern, Chair; John Ranlett, Vice Chair; Paul Wilson; Pat Roach; John Kelly; and we have, we've done, what is second, Sharon, do we know?
Dick is excused. Ray, I don't know.
Okay. And we have Sharon Penny and Brian Murphy, of the town. That brings us to item number 3 for public comments.
We have some students here. I think we do.
Do we have high school students? Yes. Great. And what class is it for?
Community planning.
It's Plymouth State students.
Plymouth State students. No high school, just college. Great. And your instructor?
Oh.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. All right.
It's a requirement that they go to a planning board meeting. So I figured this is a good chance for
Got
them
a
to...
nice hot one here. So try to drag it out for...
Should have been here last week.
Well, I was trying to find a cell tower one or a Walmart, but we couldn't find that. So. I'm one of the ones where people start throwing stuff.
Oh, well, we have...
No Walmart coming into Bridgewater.
Yeah, not really.
Administrative matters. We've got minutes.
We have 4 sets.
Yes.
Okay, let's start off with October 4th. Any items or changes for page 1 or 2? Page 3? Okay, 0. Motion to accept the minutes of October 4th?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Roach. All those in favor of accepting the minutes from October 4th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. October 18th. Page 1 or 2. Page 3 or 4. Page 5 or 6. Page 7. Motion
So moved.
by Mr. Kelly, seconded by Mr. Ranlett. All those in favor of accepting the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Brings us to November 1 minutes. Any changes to page 1 or 2? 3 or 4? Motion
So moved.
by Mr. Kelly, seconded by Mr. Ranlett. All those in favor of accepting the minutes of November 1 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. December 6, 2012. Page 1 or 2? Page 3 or 4? Page 5? Or page 6? Is there a motion? By Mr. Kelly, seconded by Mr. Roach. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as complete for December 6th signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Brings us to item number 5, correspondence.
There's no...
Okay, brings us to number 6, this report of committees. Conservation Commission, Mr. Wilson.
Nothing to report this evening.
Okay. Zoning Board?
We did not meet this month because there were no applications for review.
Water and Sewer? We don't have a,
Representative.
Rhonda was on that.
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and take that if you want me to.
That'd be great, John.
Start doing that.
John with the Pemmichwassett River Local Advisory Committee, Mr. Kelly?
No.
Okay. Plymouth Regional Emergency Management Committee?
Nothing to report, that, not
Okay. Town Planner Report?
Only that, all the town meeting warrant article procedures and processes are following through, and February 5th was the date to get the amendments, petition amendments as presented to this board, to the town clerk. That has been accomplished, and the ballots, I think, are in process at this point.
Okay, so that brings us to item number 7, new business. We have an informational meeting with members of the Bridgewater and Hebron planning boards regarding the Schommer family compound project on Hunt Road from the summer of 2012 and other issues of mutual concern. So,
I don't know how the folks want to do it, but if anyone would like to come up to the table, they're more than welcome. This is just an informal discussion or whatever, but
Sure.
as long as we
Yeah.
can get names so we know who's talking, that would be great.
Hebron?
No, I'm Bridgewater.
Bridgewater. And Mike Capsalis, if you want to come forward, planning board members, and we can kind of,
Why not just stay here?
okay.
Whatever works if you feel comfortable.
Well, first of all, we really want to thank you.
Hold on one second. What's that?
Could they use the podium if they're not going to sit up at the front?
Okay.
Just so we can hear.
Got it.
Just identify yourself
Okay,
and,
well, I'm Mike Capsalis. I'm the chair of the Bridgewater, New Hampshire Planning Board, and I'd like the other members of the other planning boards just to introduce themselves.
Marcia Felder, Bridgewater.
I'm Ken Weidman, and from Bridgewater, and thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome, welcome.
Dick Hallberg, Bridgewater.
Kathy Carnes, Chair of Hebron Planning Board.
Mitch Minnesota, Hebron Planning Board. Roger Rochelle, Hebron Planning Board.
And this motley-looking crew back here are my students from the community planning class that I teach at Plymouth State, and they're required to go to the planning board meeting, so we figured this is a good one. And we have Steve Whitman. We want to thank you for letting us come up here and talk, and by no means, we're not up here to beat anybody up or do anything like that. We just want to be on the same page and work together with you in the future on things that are of importance to both of us. Back before Sharon got here, we had a meeting, must have been 7 or 8 years ago with the planner, June Hammond-Rowan,
Correct.
about some of our zoning where you're 1 acre, we're 5 acre. So there's a couple things we want to talk about. I mean, the Schommer property seems to be coming up because it's been a hot button issue for us, so we're probably not going to solve it tonight. But in RSA 674 4.1, it did state that we probably should have been notified prior to issuing a building permit of that property, since the only ingress and egress was in Bridgewater and through here. It's water over the dam at this point, but I think the selectmen are going to want to get together with you, Sharon, and your selectmen to iron out the parts about mutual aid and all that, because it's 28 minutes from your fire station to up there on a good day, and that was me moving right along, and it's 4.5 minutes from our fire station and police and EMT. So there's some concerns about municipal liability.
Can I just say that, just for clarification, this wasn't a site plan review issue for this board. I mean, it's wonderful that it's here now, so, you know, this notification, you know, and you know how it is with the RSAs until you actually stumble across the obscure one in any given situation. So, you know, Brian has addressed that, and he will be speaking directly to a lot of these points, but we are aware of it, so thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to all right, one more thing, I'm going to let Ken speak to this a little bit more. Something else has just cropped up in the last week, and I want to bring it to your attention. It's got nothing to do with the Schommer thing on Hunt Road. One of your residents has land in Plymouth, and they don't want to pay to upgrade your Class 6 road. They now wish to access their property in Plymouth through a right-of-way, through one of our residents' land to get to their Plymouth property. I can't find anything on it. I don't know.
I'm aware of it.
Lakes Region Planning didn't have anything on it. I beat up the RSAs. I couldn't find anything on it. So I think at least we should be on the same page on that one, because that's a total different animal than the Hunt Road thing. That's a Class 5 public road.
So they've approached you?
Yes. Okay. They have approached us, approached the selectmen, and it's obviously a monetary thing. They want to go 250 feet instead of 5,000 feet. So they haven't said whether it's a 50-foot right-of-way. They haven't even approached us for a formal or an informal meeting, but it's coming down the pike, and they want to do that. So we need to get on the same page there, definitely. And we'd like at some point to keep these meetings up, maybe at least once a year for regional things that are going on. We should have been on the same page with these windmills and all of that. So we'd like to be in everybody's good graces and at least meet once a year and things that happen. That 1 acre and 5 acre zoning thing, we'd like to see if we can work on that. So, but I'm going to turn it over to Ken Weidman on the specifics on the Schommer property, because he has that information.
I do.
Well, you do more than I do, I suppose.
You know, it's news to me that I'm speaking tonight, but that's okay. I'm used to surprises, I guess. I'm not sure whether the planning board is aware of this, of what the issues are here. I got involved in this because I'm a member of the Bridgewater Planning Board, and it came to our attention back last May or June at a meeting that there had been a permit issued for the construction of a fairly large residential building and 3 or 4 outbuildings, with the owner of the property being a resident of Massachusetts who was putting up some sort of a family compound that was designed so that the central building would be the main building, having all of the facilities in it with bathrooms and kitchens, and then there would be some outbuildings that would be available for his children to come to. And as I understood it at the time, the outbuildings did not have bathrooms or did not have kitchen facilities in them. I don't know what they're qualified as, whether they're considered dwellings or not. I don't know that. At that time, our planning board actually directed our selectmen to send to the town of Plymouth a cease and desist. Upon consulting with the town attorney, it was decided that there would be a letter issued to the appropriate people here in Bridgewater, here in Plymouth, and the letter advising the town of our concern went to, is this Dennis here? Brian Murphy. Yeah, excuse me.
It's okay.
And then there was a response to our letter saying that I think that basically the RSA that we cited wasn't appropriate. And then long in the fall, I got to talk to Brian Murphy, and we had some discussions about that. The next part of this whole scenario was that it was referred to Mr. Murphy to Sharon Penny, and that there would be, and we had requested at the earlier time that there be a joint meeting with the town of Hebron and Plymouth and Bridgewater to discuss the issue. The issue being that there was no notice given to the town of Bridgewater of this building, which is required by the RSA, in that access to the property is either through Hunt Road East, which starts in Bridgewater and then goes into Plymouth and really is not accessible, or it's Hunt Road West, which starts in Bridgewater, goes through Hebron, and then accesses the property, which is in Plymouth. So that neither Bridgewater nor Hebron had an opportunity to be involved in this. And actually, as I understand from reading the RSA, there's even rights given to these two towns to be involved in the decision to allow the building to be, the property to be constructed or not. We were denied that right. Our concern at this point has to do with, one of our concern has to do with liability. As Mike has said, we will be the first, we Bridgewater will be the first responders. Second responders probably will be Hebron. There's been an indemnification agreement signed by Schommer's in behalf of Plymouth, but it doesn't protect Bridgewater, it doesn't protect Hebron. I think what we would like to see is an indemnification from the town of Plymouth that would indemnify both of those communities. We're concerned the property is not accessible in the winter for fire or for police. The road is a Class 6. It's not maintained beyond John Black's property in the winter. There's some real, very real concerns about getting up and servicing this property if that was the case. We look forward to what could happen to this property. It's residential now. In the future, it could be sold. If the property is sold and there's another use, that could change our responsibilities for being first responders. It could be sold from a non-seasonal use to a family who might move in with kids requiring school bus access. School buses can't get up that way. So there's a whole bunch of concerns that we have that we need to bring to the table. As Mike has indicated to you, there is another one looming, and that is this property in Plymouth. I don't know how large it is, since the contacts have been to the selectmen and not to the planning board, but it looks like there could be a potential development of that property. And as you know, your zoning up there is 1 acre. Our zoning is 5 acres. Access would be through a Bridgewater property on a right-of-way, which would, and it runs up, that's West Clement Road?
East Clement Road.
East Clement Road, okay. You know, that could cause some problems. We share some mutual boundaries with your town, with Plymouth, and there's difference in zonings, and we could be on one side of the road with a 5-acre zoning, and you're on the other side with a 1-acre zoning, and that causes some concern to us that for future development. And we think that we'd like to try to have communication back and forth so we know what's going on, and we can be involved, and we can work jointly so that it benefits, I guess, both or all 3 towns. Have I covered enough, Mike, since you didn't warn me I was going to get up and speak?
At this time, I'd really like to hear from Brian, and who represents the town of Plymouth, and get his side, and then we'll do a little bit more back and forth if we need to, and
Sure.
go from there. Thank you very much.
Hi, Brian Murphy, in case anybody missed it. One of the things that was misleading about the property was we were approached